Man, I had zero faith that this was actually going to be good. It's a series based on a video game. It looked cheap. It was going to be on Peacock, and it starred Anthony Mackie. It sounded like it was going to be a recipe for disaster. It's a demolition derby game with tricked out cars trying to destroy each other. How is that even a show? But this show shocked the hell out of me by actually being good. This show was addictive. It's the most fun I've had watching a TV show this year. If you haven't started watching Twisted Metal yet, then you need to take that time that you were going to go see Barbie for the 5th time and get your ass back at home, plant it on the couch, and watch Twisted Metal all the way through. The show takes place in post-apocalyptic America. Society's completely fallen apart and it's a wasteland now. The only safe places are a few sealed-off cities around the country. But no one from outside is allowed in, leaving people outside at the mercy of killers and gangs that roam outside the cities. The cities still need supplies though, so they use delivery drivers called milkmen who bring supplies like food and equipment to the cities. They aren't even allowed in the cities though, so in exchange for making deliveries they're paid in food and gas so they can survive outside. A milkman needs to keep their package safe, so their vehicle is usually equipped with guns, missiles, and armor. John Doe is our main character in the series. He has amnesia and he doesn't remember anything about his life before the end of the world. He drives and lives in an old Subaru with machine guns attached to the hood. While making a delivery, he meets Raven, the leader of New San Francisco. She offers him a job, to go across the country to New Chicago to pick up a secret package for her and bring it back within 10 days. If he's able to do that, then he can live in New San Francisco. It's an incredibly dangerous mission, but John wants to have a life in New San Francisco, so he takes the job. Along the way, he picks up a passenger who goes back and forth from being hostile to being a friend. Her name is Quiet, a woman with a tragic backstory of her own who's looking for revenge. Each episode has them encountering thieves, killers, fanatical gangs, a tyrannical police force, and even a psychotic clown who drives an ice cream truck. Along the way, they start to realize it's better to live in this world together than to live alone. I think, anyway. My favorite characters were John Doe, Sweet Tooth, and Agent Stone. I'm not a huge fan of Anthony Mackie. I thought he was awful in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Altered Carbon Season 2, and I think Marvel made a terrible choice of making him the new Captain America. He just doesn't seem like he was cut out to be a leading man. But Mackie crushes it in this as John Doe. He absolutely carries this series. He actually really excels as a comedic performer. He's a guy whose best friend is his car, so he's kind of weird, but he's crafty and knows how to handle himself in this world. This show actually might create a new career opportunity for him as a lead in comedies. He's that good. He's kind of like Ryan Reynolds, but much less annoying. Thomas Hayden Church plays Agent Stone, a tyrannical police officer that has appointed himself as the law outside the cities. In the first episode, he captures Quiet and her brother and threatens to execute both of them, until Quiet's brother kills himself to spare her life. Thomas Hayden Church is a perfect piece of shit in this. He has this incredible ability to talk and act like he's portraying strength and nobility, but comes off as an absolute scumbag to everyone else around him. He's a great villain. Sweet Tooth is probably my favorite character in the show. He's a deranged killer that wears a clown mask and drives around in an ice cream truck and controls Las Vegas. He's unpredictable and he's funny one moment and he's an unstoppable killer the next. The wrestler Samoa Joe plays Sweet Tooth while Will Arnett is the voice of the character. The show also did a good job of making Arnett's voice match with Joe's body. It feels like this is how the character actually talks. But Joe isn't just a stuntman for the role. It's a very physical part and the performance that Joe delivers is incredible, especially with his eyes. Like the game, the vehicle battles are a main draw of the show and you won't be let down. You get scenes of John Doe and Quiet battling other characters in tricked out cars. Plus, at the end of the season, you finally get a multi-vehicle battle royal in the spirit of Twisted Metal, and it's probably the best battle in the series. A lot of characters our protagonists meet on their journey turn out to be drivers of popular vehicles from the games. The season ends with John and Quiet delivering the package, but Quiet isn't allowed into the city because she wasn't a part of the original deal, so John goes into the city alone after Quiet shoots him, but after a couple months he wants to leave and go find her. Raven captures him though and tells him the mission she sent him on was just a test. And now he's going to drive for Raven in a tournament held by the mysterious Calypso, where the winner gets to wish for whatever they want. I'm so fucking ready for Season 2, let's fucking go. The show isn't without problems though. My main issue is with Quiet, the second lead played by Stephanie Beatrice. At first I really liked her character and how she was working with John to get revenge on Stone, but then she started to become more irritating as the season went on. She's constantly going from liking John to hating him for stupid reasons. She gets pissed off at him for washing her jacket at one point. She tries to trick or betray him in like every other episode. She even shoots him in the finale. She needed to either learn to trust John or the writers needed to just make them enemies because the back and forth all season long was getting to be too much. At a certain point, John Doe starts to stop looking like he's savvy and clever and starts to look like an idiot, because he keeps trying to appease her and keeps falling for her, tricking him. Her character also goes from being angry to randomly being comedic at different points, and it just doesn't work. But with her character, the comedy just didn't work at all. The comedy works best when it comes from Sweet Tooth or John Doe. I hated Quiet's ending as well. She shoots John and leaves him to get taken into New San Francisco, while she takes his car and becomes Robin Hood. She steals deliveries from other milkmen and gives them to the poor stuck outside the cities. It just felt like the writers trying to come up with something to keep her around for season 2. It would have made for a much better ending if her character died. Then when Raven forces John into Calypso's tournament, he comes up with the idea of requesting Calypso to bring Quiet back to life, and screwing Raven over in the process. Jason Mantzoukas shows up in one episode as a preacher who leads a gang called the Holy Men. It was a chance for him to create a cool badass character, but instead he dresses like an Amish guy and talks about wanting to have sex with cars.
I admire your thirst, but if anybody's gonna fuck this car, it's gonna be me.
It would have been really cool to see Calypso at some point, but you only get a brief shot of him from behind. Keeping every episode at 30 minutes really made the show flow well. Every time an episode ended, I was like, I need to go on to the next one. I watched all 10 episodes in 3 days. Marvel and Star Wars should be taking notes from this on how to make a good show. For me, Twisted Metal is a surprise hit of the year. I didn't expect much from it at all, but now I can't wait for season 2. Fuck The Last of Us. This is the best video game adaptation of the year.